Hey guys, as you have probably guessed, it is time for another Game of Thrones episode recap. So today we're talking about Season 5, Episode 7, The Gift. If you watched my recap last week, you know I was pretty upset about that episode, but I thought this episode was so much better. At least it made me much happier than last week's episode, and even though not everything is fixed at this point, I thought there was a lot going on and just a lot of things advancing and leading up to bigger things. So I actually have to say this was one of my favorite episodes this season. The first thing that we see is what's going on at the wall, and we have Jon and Tormund going back beyond the wall to get the wildlings, to get them south, and of course nobody at the wall is happy about it because they don't like the wildlings out there. And Jon is passing the command of Castle Black to Alliser Thorne, and Alliser Thorne just gives him his last 2 cents about this. He says he thinks this mission is reckless and a disgrace in general, and Jon just kind of thanks him for his honesty and moves on because he knows what he has to do. And Sam gives Jon a bag of dragon glass because this is how you kill the White Walkers, and in case Jon has to face some of the White Walkers, which everybody hopes he doesn't, but if he does, he has something to protect himself with now. Also at the wall, we have Maester Aemon unfortunately dying, which I am so sad about because I really like his character. I know he's not one of the main characters of the story, but he always has this interesting insight to everything, and he was just really interesting to watch and to listen to, and he was a good friend to Sam and to Jon, and it is definitely sad that we are losing him, but he's a pretty old person. And funny enough, I was watching the after the episodes commentary from the show creators, and they mentioned that he is probably the only person on the show so far who has just died of old age and didn't die violently, which is kind of hilarious because I think that may be true. Anyways, Sam and Gilly are taking care of him as he's dying, and before Maester Aemon dies, he tells Gilly to get her child south before it's too late because he knows what's up, and we know what's up because it's starting to snow really hard everywhere in the north. I'm not sure if they're actually going to end up leaving because I don't think Gilly is going to leave without Sam. And Sam is on this whole I'm the man of the Night's Watch thing, but after what happens afterwards, he may reconsider and they might leave together. We get a little bit of foreshadowing at Maester Aemon's funeral where Alliser Thorne tells Sam that Sam was losing all of his friends now that Jon's gone and Maester Aemon's dead. He kind of doesn't have any other friends other than Gilly. And of course afterwards we get the scene where Gilly gets cornered by 2 men of the Night's Watch, and they have not so honorable intentions, and Sam comes in, tries to protect her. Of course Sam is not very good at fighting, so he gets beat up pretty badly. I was really concerned watching that, but in the last moment Ghost comes in and kind of fixes the situation, which I kind of want to know why Ghost isn't with Jon. That's a little strange. Later, when Gilly is taking care of poor beat up Sam, they actually end up getting it on, which is unexpected. I did not think that would happen. So I guess it worked out well for them for now. I'm a little bit concerned about them because they don't really have any friends at Castle Black. She's a wildling, so nobody likes her automatically. Sam is not the most popular kid, and like Alliser Thorne said, he doesn't really have any friends here anymore. So I am pretty sure that those 2 guys trying to attack Gilly were not the only bad thing that is coming for them. So maybe they will decide to leave Castle Black because they want to get into safety. Who knows? We'll find out soon. Then at Winterfell, Sansa's life still sucks, unfortunately, and I just, her storyline, I'm so sad about it. I'm still mad about what's going on with Sansa, but maybe something good is going to happen. But so far we see that she's covered in bruises. Some time has passed since her wedding night, and she says that Ramsay comes in and hurts her every night. She's locked up in her room all day, and she doesn't really think that things could get worse for her pretty much at this point. So she tries to convince Theon to help her out. She still doesn't realize how broken this guy is, so she wants him to go and to light a candle at the top of the broken tower like she was told to if she was in trouble. And she tries to tell him that his name is not Reek, that he is Theon Greyjoy, he is the heir to the Iron Islands, and blah blah blah, all of that. And then of course, who is surprised? Theon goes straight to Ramsay and tells him everything, so that's great. Later on, we see Ramsay and Sansa walking outside, and this is where we see how badly it is snowing now at Winterfell. This is not the same Winterfell we saw at season 1, where it was cold and miserable, but it was not snowing. Right now, it is snowing hard. They're in the middle of the snowstorm, and Ramsay kind of tells her that Stannis and his army are coming to attack Winterfell, but Ramsay thinks that they kind of got lucky with the snow here because the people in the north are used to fighting in dire weather conditions and in the snow, while Stannis is probably going to suffer from that. He also talks a little bit about becoming the Warden of the North in the future, and him and Sansa have this really interesting conversation where she keeps telling him, well, isn't your stepmom having a baby? And isn't that guy going to be the heir because you are the bastard? And Ramsay's like, well, I have been legalized over here by a royal decree. And Sansa says, oh, from Tommen Baratheon, another bastard, really? But the real reason for Sansa's outing, of course, is for Ramsay to show her that he found out about her plans and that the old lady has been punished and that Sansa is not going anywhere. So Sansa finally finds out that Theon is useless. What gives me hope about this whole scene is that Sansa is definitely trying to fight back. She is not quite sure how to do it, but she isn't just sitting there waiting for things to get better. She's trying to find a way out. She actually picked up a sharp object. Oh my god, I am so excited. Maybe she'll actually use it for picking the door or murdering Ramsay or both. But she's talking back to Ramsay. She clearly isn't just going to sit there and continue living her life in misery, and that makes me excited because revenge is coming, and maybe they will end up getting a message to Brienne of Tarth, which at the battle for Winterfell, things are going to get crazy because Brienne has her mind set on killing Stannis. So she'll probably have to choose between protecting Sansa and going after her own goals with killing Stannis. Speaking of Stannis, him and his army are definitely suffering from the snow. They have horses dying, they have people leaving. It's not cool, but Stannis is continuing with his march on Winterfell because he says that it is now or never, pretty much. Davos tries to convince him to turn around and go back to Castle Black and wait the winter storm out, and Stannis kind of tells him, you know, if we go back, we're going to have to spend the winter there, and who knows how many years that's going to be. So we march to victory or we march to defeat, but we are going forward with this plan and we're not going back to Castle Black. And Melisandre at the same time is there, and she's like, it is going to be fine. I have seen it in my visions. It is going to work out. This is the right course of action, but we may need you to sacrifice your daughter so I can use her for my evil magic or the Lord of Light magic, whatever you want to call it. And Stannis, of course, is not on board with this. Sacrificing her for his goals is probably far-fetched, but at the same time, he is listening to Melisandre a little bit more now after his defeat at Blackwater, where he didn't listen to her. So I don't know if they're going to find a workaround. He's definitely going to try to find a workaround, but that is now on the table. In the meantime, at Meereen, we have Daario and Daenerys talking about some things, and Daario is trying to convince her to marry him instead of Hisdar because he is in love or because he has ulterior motives. I am not even sure at this point. Something that didn't make it into the show are the prophecies that Daenerys has received in the House of the Undying, and one of the things that she was told is that she is going to have 3 betrayals, and supposedly the first betrayal was the witch lady who killed Khal Drogo. The second betrayal was, I'm pretty sure, Jorah's betrayal. So she's coming up on a third one. And I am starting to get some suspicions that Daario may be the third betrayal. So I'm not really sure what his true intentions are, but he does at this point tell her that he wants to marry her. She says, no, not gonna happen. And the last suggestion that Daario gives her is to gather up all the masters and to slaughter them, because if you're a ruler, you are either the butcher or the meat, and Daenerys is going to try to find her own way, of course, but those are the suggestions that Daario gives her. Also nearby, we have Ser Jorah and Tyrion being sold into slavery because they got themselves into trouble, and of course, they're being sold separately. But not to worry, when Jorah is sold, Tyrion, of course, talks and actually fights his way into being sold with him to the same master, because he kicks this guard's ass, which is quite hilarious, and he says, we are a pair, Jorah and I, and we are inseparable, so you have to buy both of us. So the guy buys both of them. Later on, Daenerys is paying a visit to the lower fighting pits, which apparently there are lower and the main fighting pits. I'm not even sure what the rules are, but basically, as a tradition, she is visiting this lower tier of fighting, and that's where Jorah and Tyrion are. And as soon as Jorah hears that the queen is there, he comes out, he kicks everybody's ass, and when he takes off his helmet, she says, get out of my sight. Of course, Jorah doesn't want to be taken away, so he says, hold on, I have a gift for you. And at that last moment, Tyrion comes out and he says, yes, I am in fact the gift, because I am Tyrion Lannister, which was such an awesome moment, let me just tell you. I honestly got chills when that happened, because this is the encounter that we have been waiting for this whole season, and finally we're going to find out what is going to happen with that. So we have Tyrion Lannister and Daenerys Targaryen finally at the same place talking to each other, and I cannot wait to see how that goes. We also get a quick scene at Dorne where Jaime talks to Myrcella, and she pretty much tells him that she is not going back to King's Landing because Dorne is her home now. She loves Trystane, she's going to marry him, and pretty much that's her opinion on the matter. And then at the same time, Bronn is being held in the cells next to the Sand Snakes, and Bronn isn't really doing very well because the blade was poisoned, the blade that he was cut with last episode, and he is starting to show some symptoms. But after some flirting between him and one of the Sand Snakes, the girl decides to give him the antidote. So I hope it's okay to be excited for Bronn surviving this. And last but not least, we get to see what's going on at King's Landing, and there's something exciting going on at King's Landing. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, but I'll talk about that later. First of all, we see Lady Olenna going to talk to the High Sparrow, and we know Lady Olenna is a badass, but she kind of gets owned by the High Sparrow because he doesn't really care what she has to say. He's on his own mission and he isn't afraid of her, and no matter what she offers him, gold or whatever, he's going to continue with what he has set out to do, which I think is a new feeling for Lady Olenna. She's kind of used to getting her way, so this is definitely new territory for her. And as she's leaving, she gets a letter from Peter Baelish, and she goes to meet him at his destroyed brothel, which looks pretty sad. And she is obviously furious because she doesn't like what's going on. However, Baelish says that he actually has a gift for her, which apparently is the same kind of gift that he had for Cersei, and that is a handsome young man. In the meantime, Tommen is throwing a fit in front of Cersei because Margaery is locked up and he can't do anything about it, and he does the same whiny thing that Joffrey used to do, which is yell, I am the king. He tells Cersei that he loves Margaery and that something needs to be done, so he says he is going to go to talk to the High Sparrow, and Cersei says, no, I will go and talk to him on your behalf because I love you and I will do anything for you and protect you from evil and all of that. Which she does love her children, but she won't do what they want her to do. She will protect them in the way that she wants to protect them. And of course, she has no desire to free Marjorie or anything like that. She actually goes down to see Marjorie and she is just kind of a dick to her, and she is happy that Marjorie is in this situation. But as Cersei is leaving, she's smiling, she's happy with herself, and she stops by to talk to the High Sparrow. And she does bring up the question of what happens to Marjorie and Loras if they were to confess to their crimes. And it's not really clear what the punishment is either way, but that's not really the point of the scene, because at this point you're thinking, or at least I'm thinking, this scene is going on for way too long. Something is about to happen and it's about to be major. And of course, we find out what Baelish's gift of a young boy is, and that is Lancel Lannister, who apparently has told the High Sparrow everything about Cersei and what kind of person she is. And Cersei gets locked up in the cell just like Marjorie and Loras, which is pretty exciting because I think we have been annoyed with Cersei for quite a while now. So it's kind of satisfying to see her thrown in the cell and finally not get her way. And I have to say, Lena Headey played this scene perfectly, because at the beginning of the scene, she is her normal, arrogant self. She is Cersei Lannister, but then she starts sensing that something is off. And you can see the slight changes in her face when she just kind of looks around and she's like, what is happening right now? I should probably leave. I don't like where this is going. And then finally, when she gets grabbed by these nuns, she's saying, you know, let me go, I'm the queen. And she is kind of desperate and angry. And the last thing that she says as she's being thrown into the cell is something like, look at this face, this is the last thing that you'll see before you die, to this nun that threw her into the cell. And the door just slams in her face, essentially. So that was definitely a really nice scene and a really satisfying one. Overall, like I said, I thought this was a very good episode. We had a lot of stuff happen and a lot of stuff develop, and we got some major things going on, so you can definitely tell we're getting closer and closer to the end of the season. That's it for my recap of Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 7, The Gift. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please let me know what you thought about the episode and whether or not you thought it was one of the best ones we had this season, or if you maybe didn't like it, or what's going on. Just don't forget to use spoiler tags if you're talking about what's going on in the books. Once again, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!